So my name's Jo and I'm an acoustician, which is also known as an acoustic consultant or acoustic engineer. They all mean the same thing. But basically I work with infrastructure and building projects, and I make sure that if you're sleeping in your bedroom, the road outside, the one they're building, isn't going to be too loud. What is an acoustic engineer? So an acoustic engineer is someone who specialises in sound and how it behaves inside and outside of a room. So within a room, if you take a classroom or a lecture hall, maybe even a cinema or a recording studio, you need a certain amount of reverberation, which is a sound that comes back towards you. And if that's too loud, then the person speaking, you're not going to be able to hear. But at the same time, if the room is too dead, which means if you've got no reverberation, so think of a recording studio or an anechoic chamber, which is where you've got sound padding all the way around the room, then your voice doesn't carry. So your lecturer might be standing at the front of the room, but the person at the back may not be able to hear him if it's not amplified. What qualifications do you need to be an acoustic engineer? I got a degree in audio and acoustic engineering. You can get similar degrees at University of Southampton and Salford. Many of my colleagues have a physics degree and then got an IOA diploma, which is the Institute of Acoustics, and converted over. But ultimately, you need a good degree of some sort. And as long as it's got enough maths in it, you'll be fine. Do acoustic engineers work in an office? Yes and no. It depends really how senior you are. I, for instance, have spent pretty much every single day of the last 2 weeks out on one site of another. But my colleagues will be in doing the calculations, dealing with clients, writing the reports, in the meetings. So it's a healthy mix. But when you start out, you're definitely far more active than when you're more senior. Can being an acoustic engineer make you rich? Loaded question. Acoustic engineers are needed at the minute. So if you compare it with other salaries for planning consultants and the like, you're probably going to get a slightly higher rate. As for more serious money, if you are lucky enough to go into more stadium or opera design and become known for it, then yeah, you'll probably be able to get quite a healthy salary. Number 5, do acousticians need a license? It's not the same license as I understand architects need. You can get your degree and start consulting straight away near enough. But it is good to be registered with the IOA, the Institute of Acoustics. The membership shows that you've been vetted and that you know what you're talking about, basically. As for more formal licensing, there's the ANC, Association of Noise Consultants, and they accredit the companies. So my company is a member of the ANC, and you need to be accredited with the ANC to do sound insulation testing. And that is, sound insulation testing is testing the effectiveness of walls and floors and ceilings. And you need this because it's regulation that if you're in your bedroom, you should not be able to hear the flat next door. It needs to be of equality, and the ANC makes sure that your company is of equality. I can't get it. Do I need an acoustic consultant? If you are putting an extension on your house, you'll probably be fine. When you, assuming you've your extension is going to be big enough that you need to ask planning application to do it. If you're adding on an air handling unit or some plant and it's right next door to your neighbour's window, then the council or whoever may say, can you get an acoustic report to double check this? And what the acoustician will do is a 4142 assessment, which basically indicates how much of a nuisance that air conditioning is going to be and what mitigation measures you need to put in place. But normally you'll probably be fine. What are the skills of an acoustician? Depends what you mean by skill. So you need to be adept with modelling software. This includes stuff like SketchUp and AutoCAD, because even though that's not our primary software, the architects or GIA topography people will send you over the files in those formats, and you will have to be able to simplify them usually and then convert them into the software you need. You need to have a reasonable understanding of maths and physics beyond simply measuring A to B. So sound and decibels is a logarithmic scale. So if you've got, if your speaker is playing 50 dB and you make it twice as loud, then that's then 53 dB. So when you're doing these calculations, they're not straightforward. What is the difference between a sound engineer and an acoustic engineer? Well, considering whenever I say I'm an acoustic engineer to people, they go, oh, so recording studios and live events and such, and that is not what an acoustic engineer does. That is what a sound engineer does. If you sit at a sound desk or a mixing desk for a concert or in a recording studio or the like, you're a sound engineer, maybe an audio engineer. But an acoustic engineer will deal with buildings and the environment and how that road impacts that house, or how that train line is going to be impacting the residents. Is working in acoustics easy? I wouldn't call it easy, but it's not too difficult when you learn the ropes and when you understand what you're trying to do. But with like most maths and physics, if you've got an actual goal in what you're trying to work out or achieve and give it context, then suddenly the sums and the answers make more sense. But you do need to be reasonable at maths, you need to be reasonable at programming languages, Excel even, because all of our calculation sheets, because we're not going to write out these long logarithmic calculations every single time. We've got proper Excel spreadsheets that do that for us, but if it gets corrupted or goes wrong or you need to change it, you need to be able to work with Excel to do that. 10. Cadna or SoundPlan? Okay, so these are two softwares for environmental acoustics, and environmental acoustics is everything outside of the house. So we will be able to model roads or train lines or any plant noise and see how that affects the facade of the house, so you know where the window is. I've only ever used Cadna. I've never had to use SoundPlan. I've got colleagues who learned on SoundPlan and had to transfer over to Cadna when they joined us. But ultimately, they will do the same job, and it is whichever your company chooses that you will use. But I've only ever used Cadna. Thank you for watching. This was the 10 most Google questions for an acoustician. I'd like to thank Forever Callie Media for inviting me on to explain.